Welcome to the Misquamicut Beach Podcast, a podcast spotlighting the businesses, newsmakers, events, and memories of Rhode Island's historic Misquamicut Beach.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Misquamicut Beach Podcast. My name is Ben. I am your host for the show, and I am excited today to be bringing you an interview with the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Rhode Island, Dan McKee. Lieutenant Dan, as Caswell Cook lovingly refers to him constantly, is a wonderful proponent of Misquamicut Beach, and he has done a ton of great work since he has taken office in 2015 to help with such things like the beach cleanup. And we're going to talk a lot about that stuff, and we're going to talk a lot about his economic advisory committee that he is a part of, and so much more. It was a great conversation. I'm so thankful that the Lieutenant Governor was so generous with his time, with me, and for all of you. So, without further ado, here is Lieutenant Governor Dan McKee. Okay, so I am here with the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Rhode Island, Dan McKee. Lieutenant Governor, how are you today?
I'm great, Ben. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about Misquamicut Beach.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to have you on the show. It's a big honor for us, and I just want to thank you, first of all, for all of the tremendous work that you and your office has done for Misquamicut Beach in the last few years and continue to do. I got a chance to listen to your speech last week at the annual meeting for the Misquamicut Business Association, and you talked a lot about a lot of great stuff that is going on there. What sort of prompted you to be such an advocate for the beach?
Well, I think that it's in line with I chair the Small Business Advocacy Council, Ben, in the state, and so I've made it an effort to go see all communities, every community, all 39 cities and towns in the state, and I got a good invitation from the Misquamicut Beach Association through Caswell Cook to kind of come down in Westerly and meet the business community there. And once I saw that they were a real active group, a great group, the Misquamicut Beach Association, I wanted to make sure that I stayed connected because I think they represent a real positive group of business people that are promoting Rhode Island, and that's a good combination for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You were a very integral part in sort of dealing with and coming up with real effective solutions for the trash issue that we had last year on the beach. How do you think that that's going, and what do you what are we looking to do to improve even more this summer?
Well, yeah, so as a former mayor, I was the mayor of the town of Cumberland for 12 years. I knew how important it is to keep our communities looking clean and green, and so I like what's happening down there right now. Last year, we like you said, we had to be pretty persistent with DEM and putting meetings together to address a problem that was very obvious. I mean, you just had to go down to look at the beach area, and for whatever reason, trash bags were being left in the parking lot. Seagulls were coming down, picking it apart, and trash was going all over the place. And so that was something, a very simple observation. And I think what happened last year was really good with bringing the state with Senator Alziers and Rep. Azanero, and along with the town council and the management there and DEM to put a pilot strategy together. And now that has matured a little bit more to almost an effort to do something down in Westerly that they're going to potentially use as a plan that could be adopted throughout the state. So Westerly's being a leader in that respect. and our beaches are one of our greatest resources, right? So we need to make sure we protect our beaches.
Absolutely, and that's awesome. And I hope that the program that was put into place last year and is expanding this year has shown tremendous results. So for that to be expanded to beaches throughout the state, public beaches at least throughout the state, I think is a huge step forward for everybody, especially because of like you said, the tourism being such a big deal. One of the things that was talked about at the MBA annual meeting was the proposal for the eco trail. And for those of you who might not know what I'm talking about, it's basically a proposal to put a trail along the backside of Atlantic Avenue, the opposite side of the beach, the side with Water Whiz and all of that stuff, that goes from the hotels down to like the Windjammer, kind of that whole main stretch. You got a chance to go down and look at the proposed area for that. What are your thoughts on that whole eco trail situation?
I think that one of the things that as being invited down to Westerly as much as I have, and being there, and now taking a look at this next project, I think we've been able to get a little bit more state buy-in. It was interesting and good to hear that the Governor Raimondo was basically giving a signal, a green light signal that this could happen. I think that's really important because again, any way that you can help the local economy and use the resources that we have been is really important. And so if you can provide a safe pathway for visitors and people from Westerly to use to get from the Purple Ape area down to the down to the beach area, and down by the Windjammer and that area, that type of thing. That's going to be very healthy, and it's just going to be an added amenity for that we can talk about, and another reason why people would come to Misquamicut Beach. Because we're paying attention to those details, and the families that go into our vacation areas, they want to make sure that their kids and their family are safe. So this is a safety measure, taking advantage of a beautiful site of the overview of the water area, and it's something that when this happens is going to be a great amenity people will appreciate for years to come.
I completely agree. I think I know that it's been a big plan in Misquamicut for a while. I think that Caswell Cook told me about it the first time I interviewed him back in 2014. So I'm really excited to see where that is heading.
Yeah, Ben, and one other thing on that, just a point of interest, is that as a mayor, we put many trails in our town of Cumberland, and there was trail grants. DEM has trail grants. So I think that especially the way that I'm hearing kind of a strategy of a phase-in strategy on that, I think it's very doable, and I think that immediately you could, start to have an impact with just which not a huge amount of money initially, and then as it grows out, you can create more investment. The DEM grants, there's recreation grants, there's trail grants, and then with the state's support, I think this will happen.
And I think that what you just touched on is a huge reason, and definitely why I think that everybody down here is so appreciative of your support, is that mayoral aspect that you that you bring to your perspective of being the head of a town for so long, and sort of being able to see the things that our town and this area need, and having that guidance and expertise. So I just want to thank you again for that.
Well, I appreciate that, Ben. But yeah, there's 39 cities and towns. Everyone's important. And
absolutely.
Westerly and the communities that make up them, like Misquamicut Beach Association, is a community inside the community. So we're just thrilled that we keep on getting invited to come down. As long as we get invited to come down, we're coming down.
Now, one thing that you mentioned when you were talking about the Eco Trail, just kind of throw it out there, was the getting down from the Purple Ape. I heard a funny story at the annual meeting about your Purple Ape shirt that seems to be going everywhere. Can you tell us a little bit about your trip to China?
Yeah, so we think there's some real good economic opportunities that we're working very hard to develop because of that trip to both Taiwan, China, and Hong Kong. But also, I bring a piece of Rhode Island with me. So I'll bring my URI hat, and I brought the Purple Ape T-shirt. And so when we were touring some of the villages of the business owners from Rhode Island that were hosting the trip back into Hong Kong area where they grew up, and I want to talk quickly about what we're going to be doing on these honorary economic advisors that we're putting together. But so I wore the Purple Ape T-shirt in Taiyo, Hong Kong, right outside of Hong Kong, and then we went viral with it and said, hey, everybody that knows about me knows that I'm in for Rhode Island, and to visit the Misquamicut Beach area, and when you're there, take a visit to the Purple Ape.
That's great. Could you talk a little bit about the Economic Advisory Committee?
Yes, thank you for that opportunity. So what we're doing right now is that we're just about ready to launch after several meetings this idea that we have many communities that make up our communities, right, Ben? And so Absolutely. Right now we're identifying individuals that still have networks or family connections in other countries they call Rhode Island, that Rhode Island's their home. They love Rhode Island. They want Rhode Island to do really well. Both Sonny Nye and Louis Yip were business owners that help organize a really high-powered quality trip, meeting with business owners, meeting with high officials in the government, and we think that we're going to really benefit from that. So we want to duplicate that. So anybody who has connections or networks in other countries. We've been meeting with some people that have connections in the Asia area, but in Hong Kong, China, but also Portugal now, and Dominican, and the Latin American countries, France, we got Canada. So we know there's many, many people that listen to your podcast that may have abilities, then they travel back to their homeland, or they travel back to areas where they have strong networks. We want to give them the distinction of being an honorary economic advisor for the state of Rhode Island out of the Lieutenant Governor's office. And when they travel, we want to hear from them. We want to, assign them that honorary status. And then if they contact our office, and with the core group we're putting together, we will actually assign them, hey, go talk to this person, or go talk to that person. Here's an introduction to the ambassador from that country. And we think that we're going to benefit from that. We think that the more people who know about a great state like we have, and Misquamicut Beach in particular, the more people are going to come and visit, the more people who will invest their dollars here in their businesses. So we're going to try to take advantage of really the strength of our state, and it's the people and the people's their heritage, and we want to maximize that for the state of Rhode Island.
I think that sounds amazing and fantastic, and I can't wait to see all of the good that brings. Two things that I ask every guest are and I'll end with sort of the simpler one.
Yes.
But
I got the Red Sox over the Yankees. That's the first thing.
Well, I'm sure that people will be happy to hear that. But I always ask if there's something that you'd like to see in Misquamicut that isn't there, but I'm actually going to broaden that for you. Is there something, because I've heard you talk a lot about with the Paw Sox leaving and stuff like that. another opportunity, something big. Is there something that you'd like to see the state or Misquamicut or both have that we don't have yet, or something that you'd like to see us expand upon in that area? I heard an interview with you talking about the possibility of the leaving that money on the table that was offered to the Paw Sox for another great, exciting economic opportunity to come in. Is there something big that you would like to see come to Rhode Island or Misquamicut that may not be there yet?
So we're all in on the entire state of Rhode Island, but I think one of the things that we are, as you mentioned before, being a mayor, having such a close relationship with municipal leaders around the state for many years, we need to be supportive of one another, right? And this is something I think on the Paw Sox, I think we could have done a lot better outside of the Blackstone Valley, supporting that need there, so that when the time came for something that happens down in Misquamicut or Westerly, we would expect Blackstone Valley would be very supportive of what would happen economically in Westerly. So I think we can do a better job at supporting one another in the state of Rhode Island, and I think that's a process that we need to work on because it's not what happens in Westerly and Misquamicut Beach does have an impact on what happens in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. And
I couldn't agree with you more.
And so I think that's one of the things that we're going to continually talk about, and make sure that we are all being as supportive as we can. I think the Paw Sox is a good example of not understanding that was an economic development tool. What's happening now in the area that Worcester is expecting the Paw Sox to move to is that's becoming a hotbed of economic opportunity. We know it is because we're hearing that real estate is being invested in, and there's projects that are being anticipated to begin there. That's always lost because the state really didn't totally embrace the needs of the city of Pawtucket. Now, we should be doing the same thing on the Misquamicut Beach Association. That's why I go to the luau's, the Fall Fest, the Spring Fest that you're talking about, the Bricks and Murals down there, the Tunes on the Dunes, the Shakespeare in the Park. These are all activities that I see, and I bring that message back to other areas of the state of why we should be supporting the Misquamicut Beach area, the Westerly area. So I think that's one of the things that we really need to work on, and then I think that we'll get a great deal of benefit from that type of partnership and that type of support across community lines.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that I think it's not it's obviously it's the smallest state in the union, but it's not a large state, and everybody is interconnected, and it really matters. So I think that's a wonderful sentiment. And finally, you mentioned Springfest, Fall Fest, the luau, the annual meetings, all of that stuff. Is there an event in Misquamicut or Westerly in general that you look forward to every year? What's the thing that you like coming to the most?
Well, I can tell you, I enjoyed the Tunes on the Dunes, and that'll be coming up. That was, we had a beautiful day, the few days that we've been down there. You get, thousands of people that are, gravitating to the beach in Misquamicut, and then the Misquamicut Beach Association with the crew that manages that do a great job. So I certainly do like going to the Gray Sail Brewery you got down there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Right. The Ivory Ella, you've got an international, t-shirt company there with Ivory Ella. We visited there when I hosted the lieutenant governors as the chair of the Lieutenant Governors Association. I brought Ivory Ella t-shirts to one of the meetings and distributed them all throughout the country. So the more that I see what's happening in the state, the more that I see what's happening in Misquamicut, the more, all in I am. And, I think that the other piece that we need to really work on is really supporting our small business in a way that we're not currently supporting them. And that's why we're talking about, we've eliminated the keg tax for the microbrewers. We're trying to get a paint recycling program restructured so that the local hardware stores are not burdened as much. There's many things. We're working on workman's comp right now, Ben. We're working on many of the areas. The health insurance, we should be pooling our small businesses, taking advantage of a federal regulation that has been changed that Rhode Island hasn't been quick to adopt, which will help small businesses pool their health insurance cost. And so there's much that we can get done, but I appreciate your support and getting the good word out.
Well, thank you very much. And I know that you're a very, very busy man, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. What is the best way for people to get involved, or is there like a website you would direct people to, or just the best way that you find for people to get involved?
Yeah, so I mean, I tell you, down in Wesley area is to talk to you, talk to Caswell, talk to the Misquamicut Beach Association, which they certainly have direct contact to me, and anybody that we respond very quickly as we get requests into our office to help anybody out or anybody that wants to get involved. So I would say, if you know your local people, contact them. They'll know me. And then they can contact me, and then you contact our office at Lieutenant Governor's office. We actually do answer the phone, Ben. We're one of the few people in the world right now that actually answers the phone when they call. That's kind of comes from my roots as a small business owner and as a mayor, and we do that in our office. So,
all right,
Google us, get our phone number, and give us a buzz, and stay in contact.
All right, thank you very, very much, Lieutenant Governor. I really appreciate it.
Okay, Ben. Thanks for your time.
For more information on the events and businesses in Misquamicut Beach, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and at Misquamicut.org.